All praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakah Kwadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, and Shalom to the elected nation of Israel. This is Revelation chapter 5 and verse 9. And they sung a new song, saying, Thou art worthy to take the book, and to open the seals thereof, for thou wast slain, and hast redeemed us to God by thy blood, out of every kindred, and tongue, and people, and nation, and has made us unto our power kings and priests, and we shall reign on the earth. All right, and we shall reign on the earth. Right, and the reason why I put so much emphasis on the word we is because there's always been people reigning on the earth, man. There's always been somebody on the earth that's had more power than other people on the earth, right? But the time's gonna come where a certain person, a certain group of people that have been promised from old time are gonna rule on the earth, beginning with Yahweh Shai, all right, beginning with the Messiah, man. And let me get this, in fact. Where is it? Daniel 7 and 12? Or 10 and 12? Is it 10? Maybe it's in 7. Where is it, man? This is Daniel chapter 7 and verse 13. And I saw in the night visions, and behold, one like the Son of Man came with the clouds of heaven, and came to Ancient of Days, and they brought him near before him, and it was given him dominion and glory and a kingdom, that all people, nations, and languages should serve him. His dominion is an everlasting dominion, which shall not pass away, and his kingdom that which shall not be destroyed. So Yahweh Shai has been given a kingdom, man, and he's the one that's been promised to rule in righteousness, man. The Prince of Peace, man. Right? But there's always been people ruling on the earth, but the time's coming to where we are going to rule on the earth. Yahweh Shai is going to be the leader, and everybody else is going to get in order afterwards, man. Down from King David and the rest of the people, man. There's going to be an order, right? But we're going to be ruling on the earth, whereas right now, it's the Edomites that are ruling on the earth, and people can say, nah, they ain't order that, what they want to say. Well, who is then? Because it's not an equal rulership. That's what we do know. Everyone ain't ruling, because I know I'm not ruling. So no one can't tell me nothing, and I know that there ain't no Jamaicans out here ruling either. Jamaicans ain't ruling, and I know ain't no Ghanaians ruling. I know ain't no Benjamites in London or in the UK or in Birmingham, in Leeds ruling nowhere. They ain't ruling, man. This is Sirach chapter 10 and verse 4. The power of the earth is in the hand of Yahweh, and in due time he will set over it one that is profitable. And that same situation that's being spoken about in Revelation 5 and 9 to verse 10, that is talking about the time to come, man, where the people that are going to rule in righteousness are going to be ruling. And those people are going to have been gathered from every single nation and kindred and tongue and people. And all of those people are Israelites, right? There's several prophecies that speak about the Israelites being gathered from all different nations on the earth. Yet somehow when you get to the New Testament, people assume that hearing about people getting taken out of different nations or hearing about people receiving salvation from different nations is people talking about a spiritual Israel being taken out of every single nation, which is stupid. Because we're saying it's a literal Israel, and they're saying it's spiritual Israel, or that it's Gentiles. But what's the difference? Why do they so much hate that people would be realistically from the lineage of Israel, and that's why they're receiving salvation from all these different nations, instead of them being a Gentile or a spiritual Israelite, and then that's why they're receiving salvation? Why do they always try and make some transracial kind of agenda out of them? And why do they always have to try and make people not be what they are to try and get salvation? They're weird, man. They're weird. Weirdos, man. Let me get this. Daniel chapter 2 and verse 44. And in the days of these kings shall the power of heaven set up a kingdom which shall never be destroyed, and the kingdom shall not be left to other people, but it shall break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms, and it shall stand forever. So there's people ruling right now, right? And when you go to Isaiah 14, man, Isaiah chapter 14 and verse 3, and it shall come to pass in a day that the Lord shall have give thee rest from thy sorrow and from thy fear and from thy hard bondage wherein thou was made to serve, that thou shalt take up this proverb against the king of Babylon. So who's the king of Babylon? Because did the things that I'm reading in Isaiah 14 happen when the Babylonians, the ancient Babylonians, were taken down? No, they didn't. Because when you go up, it says in verse 2, and the people shall take them and bring them to their place, and the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of Yahweh for servants and handmaids, and they shall take them captives whose captives they were, and they shall rule over their oppressors. Now, when did the Israelites ever have the Babylonians in captivity in the land of Israel after the Babylonians had them in captivity? When did that ever happen? When did that ever happen? For all you Christians that think that you know something, it's not Brazil, it's Brazil. And you think you know something and you think you're so linguistic with it. When did this happen then? Because they think that they can be slick and try and say that Deuteronomy 28 and 68 took place in 100 AD or something like that, right? But it's ridiculous if we say that Deuteronomy 28 and 68 took place in the 1400s AD. You know what I mean? Like, they're jokes, man. Or if we say it happened in the 1600s AD. So it's funny if we say that that Deuteronomy 28 and 68 was fulfilled 500 years ago. But it's not funny if they say that Deuteronomy 28 and 68 was taken place 2,000 years ago. And then let's say the thing that they speak about in 2,000 years ago actually did happen, right? As they say it. How can they prove that that wasn't us that went through that? How can they prove that it wasn't so-called black people that went through that captivity? Especially considering there seems to be a trend of us going into captivity. There seems to be a trend of us getting treated badly. There seems to be a trend of nobody ever, all these historians can never seem to find anything good to say about our people from history when we do great things. Look at all these sports, man. Sports, just the fact that we're the best in all of these sports shows that physically we're the best. So in the ancient world, where people wouldn't have had guns, wouldn't have had tanks, wouldn't have had helicopters, how could we have not been the best then? Have the power to rule just by the hand of the sword, just by fighting and warfare. How could we have not ruled one time through fighting when we're the best at fighting, man? Esau is the best at making weapons that you can be used for fighting, and that's why they're blessing the sword, man. But you're trying to tell me that there wouldn't have been one kingdom that these historians can find to speak about us? No, they know that there's kingdoms regarding us, but they don't want to mention it because they don't want us to know that we ain't the labels that they put on us, man. Because they know that the world changes if we get any kind of belief in ourselves, man. Which is the reason why they oppressed us in the first place, because they can't rule if we're even in a number 2 position. They can't, if we was even in a number 2 position on this earth, we'd look like we was the number 1 position on this earth. If we was left to our own devices, like how the Moabites are left to their devices, right, and nobody was hindering us and all of that, we'd look like we're the top nation on the earth right now. Right now, we'd look like we're the top, because we look like we're the top nations in certain situations when we're at the bottom. You'll have Michael Jackson standing in front of so-called Princess Diana and the so-called king now and all that, right? And he looked more royal than them. And he's just a musician. But imagine if all the ideas that he used to come up with to try and do certain things that he wanted to do, to buy Marvel, to have his rights for his music and all that. Imagine if people wasn't scheming behind the scenes to try and take that away. He'd still be alive now more than likely, and it would be Israelites owning the music industry. And just from that alone, people wouldn't be able to, we'd be worth trillions just off owning the music industry alone, man. But it's not supposed to be that way. It's supposed to be we get our kingdom, man. That final rulership, man, belongs to us, the Israelites. That final rulership is gonna belong to us. All of this stuff now is just a dream, man. Verse 5. Yahweh have broken us. In fact, verse 4. Thou shalt take up this proverb against the king of Babylon and say, how have the oppressor ceased? The golden city ceased. Yahweh have broken the staff of the wicked and the scepter of the rulers. He who smote the people in wrath with a continuous stroke. He that ruled the nations in anger is persecuted and unhindereth. So that lets you know that people have ruled on the earth, man. People rule on the earth, and Isaiah 14 isn't talking about Satan being the king of Babylon. No, he's talking about men. You understand? But these Christians, when you give them the Bible, they want the things that are literal to be spiritual, and the things that are spiritual to be literal. So you're trying to tell me that it literally that it literally says that his hair is made of wool? Is he a sheep? Like, they're dumb, man. They're so dumb, man. These Christians are so stupid. It's unbelievable, man. Like, they get on my damn nerves, man. Like, they're so annoying. Like, the way how they talk with such pride, and then they actually don't know nothing. Like something, for example, like how the 144,000 are Israelites. It literally just says it. You don't even have to get no spiritual revelation to understand that. It literally just says there that the 144,000 are 12,000 from each of the 12 tribes of the nation of Israel. And then it goes on to say the tribes. But somehow Christians will try and get somebody else from that and say, oh, but it says Joseph in there. Joseph was never ever one of the original 12 tribes. You idiot. Joseph was Jacob's favorite son, and he gave him the coat of many colors. What are you talking about? How does Joseph being written in there make you think that a heathen is one of the 12 tribes, or that a Jehovah's Witness is part of 144,000 when it don't even say that in there? Daniel chapter 7 and verse 27. And the kingdom and dominion and the greatness of the kingdom under the whole heaven shall be given to the people of the saints of the Most High, whose kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and all dominions shall serve and obey him. Now, who are the saints of the Most High? Because people like to run their mouth and say all of these things and flap their gums as if they know about the Bible, right? And then men in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s that didn't go to none of these fancy smancy colleges, right? They didn't have to get a degree in Bible, you know? The Holy Spirit went on men to teach them what's really the book's really talking about. Then they told other men. And then through the internet, men can learn these things, or through seeing these men in person can learn these things and be built up greater than the people that went and tried to think that they was studying it in whatever ways they were studying it, man. Psalm 148 in verse 14. He also exalteth the horn of his people, the praise of all his saints, even of the children of Israel, a people near unto him. Praise ye Yahweh. So when you hear the word saints, he's talking about the Israelites, man. There ain't no other nation that's called saints in the Bible. They ain't no other nation, man. There ain't no other nation that's been prophesied to rule at the end of days. There ain't no other nation. We're gonna be the ones that are gonna rule on the earth, man. And that's what Revelation 5 and 9 is talking about. 5 and 10. And we shall reign on the earth. People thinking that everybody else got to rule on the earth. But when we rule, everyone's just going to be there in order for the so-called Black, Latino, and Native American to even have anything close to justice. We're going to be floating around in angels' wings in the sky somewhere, not even being able to sleep with women and having children and all that. Nah, that's not what it's going to be, man. We're going to be having a multitude of children, innumerable amounts, to where one man is going to become like a whole nation. And through Abraham, all of our nations that we're going to turn into are going to be blessed. Because without Abraham having faith way back, all those thousands of years ago, that was the beginning of this whole thing for us being chosen, man. Abraham was told that we was going to be given a land before we even existed as a people, the Israelites. That's the nations that he's talking about when it says through Abraham, all the nations are going to be blessed. It's not talking about no heathens, because how is Esau going to be blessed when he's going to get Obadiah 18 chapter? Obadiah first verse 18, Obadiah first chapter 18th verse. How is that blessed? Where's the blessing in that? Where's the blessing in that? I don't get it. How is genocide from God's hand blessing? I don't get it. That don't sound very blessed to me. Isaiah chapter 2 and verse 2, and it shall come to pass in the last days that the mountain of Yahweh's house shall be established in the top of the mountains, and shall be exalted above the hills, and all nations shall flow unto it. And many people shall go and say, Come ye, and let us go up to the mountain of Yahweh, to the house of the power of Jacob, and he will teach us of his ways, and we will walk in his paths. For out of Zion shall go forth the law, and the word of Yahweh from Jerusalem. And he shall judge among the nations, and shall rebuke many people, and they shall beat their swords into plowshares, and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. That's rulership, man. That's the Israelites ruling. I don't know what these other people are talking about, but the Israelites are going to rule on the earth. And if we're in the Israelites, well, whoever the Israelites are, they're going to be ruling on the earth, and they're going to be making sure that everybody keeps the laws. But if it ain't us that's the Israelites, and you're waiting on those people that are in the land right now to be teaching those laws, well, they ain't doing that. They ain't doing that. They're focused on running industries and making things that make people be actually against God in the first place. They actually want to. It's like they're trying to say we're going to keep the laws according to what they think they're supposed to keep them, but we ain't going to tell all of you people to keep them, which doesn't make any sense, because they're supposed to, according to how Christians talk it, be a light unto the Gentiles, according to what you Christians say, right? But how comes they ain't doing that then? Why ain't they doing that? But then when you start asking questions that make sense, that's where these Christians don't want to say anything. These Christians have got all the words under the heaven to say about the Hebrew Israelites not being a chosen and not matching this prophecy or not matching that prophecy. But they don't ever look at the people that are claiming to be those people, right? And try and assess them and analyze them under the same microscope that they analyze us. And that's because they're hypocrites, man. They're hypocrites and they're disgusting, man. But it don't matter what they say anyway. Let's get this. It don't matter what they say, because them doing that is part of prophecy. So good that they're doing it, man. They're doing their job, and we're doing what we're supposed to do, man. Hosea chapter 1 and verse 10. Yet the number of the children of Israel shall be as the sand of the sea, which cannot be measured nor numbered. And it shall come to pass that in the place where it was said unto them, Ye are not my people, there it shall be said unto them, Ye are the sons of the living God. So what does it let you know? That there's several Israelites all over the world, right? All over the world, man, that cannot be numbered. That they're being treated and talked to like they're not the people. And they might voice it and say, you know what, I think I'm the people, man. Nah, you ain't the people. You ain't the people. But in all of those places, it's going to be said unto them that you are the sons of the living God. And we're going to be gathered from all different kindreds, tongues, nations, and people. And we shall reign on the earth, man. And it doesn't matter who thinks we're not going to. Them thinking we're not going to is going to be even greater when they actually see it, man. Because people doubting you on something, and then when they see it happen and you get to see that stupid look on their face, it's actually quite beautiful to see, man. To see the haunting looks on these people's faces when they realize that you ain't a scumbag like they thought you was, man. That you ain't just a loser like what they think you are. That you ain't a thug like they think you are. That you ain't black like they think you are. Like you ain't Jamaican like they think you are. That everything that was happening in your life that seemed like you was a flop was being done deliberately so that people couldn't see the things that they were supposed to see in you, man. So that they helped remain blind. Wisdom of Solomon chapter 5 and verse 1. Then shall the righteous man stand in great boldness before the face of such as have afflicted him and made no account of his labours. When they see it, they shall be troubled with terrible fear and shall be amazed at the strangeness of his salvation, so far beyond all that they looked for. And they, repenting and groaning for anguish of spirit, shall say within themselves, This was he whom we had sometimes in derision, and a proverb of reproach. We fools account his life madness, and his end to be without honour. How is he numbered among the children of God, and his lot among the saints? Therefore have we erred from the way of truth, and the light of righteousness not shined unto us, and the sun of righteousness rose not upon us. We wearied ourselves in the way of wickedness and destruction. Yea, we have gone through deserts where there lay no way. But as for the way of the Lord, we have not known it. What have pride profited us, or what good have riches without vaunting brought us? And these are the thoughts that's going to be going through these people's mind, man, when they see who's actually destined to rule for real. Everybody else trying to force it for them to rule, but them forcing their rulership on the earth was all prophecy taking place. Them saying, you know what, in order for us to rule, we're going to have to come up with something that everybody has to take in order to be part of our society that we're making. And we're going to make the society not be able to function without everybody having this thing. So we're going to force the world into such a way, and we're going to guide them and coerce them and persuade them and deceive them into taking this thing. But we're going to trick them into thinking that it's a good thing for them to do. That's them trying to force their way onto the earth. And Yahweh put it in their minds to know that the only way that they could possibly rule is to do exactly what Revelation 13 and verse 16 says to verse 17. But that was also Yahweh making prophecy be fulfilled, man, so that he can see which people among the Israelites don't really believe in that rulership, man, that don't really believe in the prophecies regarding them getting a kingdom. And if like, well, you know what, man, this kingdom seems too hard to fight against, man, I'm just going to join into this. Yahweh wanted to see who was going to do that. Verse 9, all those things are passed away like a shadow, and as a post that hasted by. So it's all going to end anyway, man. All the things of these people trying to be proud with their money, proud with anything that they got. Oh, I've got a podcast and I go on there. I'm going to tell my stories about my escapades where this man's woman was hollering at me and where that man's woman was hollering at me, and how I've just got these women throwing themselves at me now. And I'm going to tell the world my story about how I made it like this. All of that's going to pass away, man. And these people are going to understand that the true meaning of life, which is what people really care about, deep down within their soul, that they didn't understand any of it, man. They're going to understand that they didn't know what was really going on. And that's going to be a hard pill to swallow for all these people that call themselves red pill, man. It's going to be a hard pill to swallow. It's going to be a hard pill to swallow for all these psychologist type guys, all these Jordan Petersons and all that think that they're coming up with these extravagant words and all that, and they think they understand the mind. You don't understand nothing nowhere near as much as you think you need to know. They don't understand nowhere even close to what they need to know, man. Not even close. All those things are passed away like a shadow, and as a post that hasted by. Being successful in the world standard ain't got nothing to do with being successful in God's standard, man. Because if you can make it in this world, that's a sign that you're almost kind of a demon, you know. Because how are you able to function in a world that's designed to get rid of and to destroy wickedness? This is the same type of society where Yahweh Shai was crucified. So when the best of righteousness was on the earth, it was a time like this. In places that have the same rules and mindset like this. Revelation 11:8 tells you that. And a dead body shall lie in the great city, which is spiritually called Sodom and Egypt, where also our Lord was crucified, man. Let me carry on. Verse 10, and there's a ship that passeth over the waves of the water, which when it goeth by, the trace thereof cannot be found, neither the path of the keel of the waves. So everyone's success is going to fade, man. That's going to fade. And people are going to be like, where's the money at? But they think in their mind and in their arrogance, oh, I'm going to keep doing this and keep doing that, because if I ever lose all this money that I've got within these industries, then that means that the world's already collapsed anyway. And you're right. It is going to mean that. But you people ain't going to be prepared for the collapsed state of the world, because you didn't prepare spiritually. You was preparing carnally for the continuation of this world. So you ain't going to have what it takes within the spirit to be able to handle it, man. You might have physically, but the physical does not overcome the spiritual, man. The spiritual's first, and the physical's after. Every single event that takes place on the earth takes place in the heavenly realm. A council on that event takes place in the heavenly realm first. And the way that that's going to go is already been decided. And the way how we know this is because, for starters, it tells us things like that in the scriptures, right? In the book of Kings, it speaks on these things. In the book of Job, it speaks on these things. In the book of Daniel, it speaks on these things. But prophecy also lets you know that these things have been decided in the heavens beforehand. It's been decided in the heavens beforehand for the Israelites to get the final rulership, man. It's been decided in the heavens beforehand for Jacob to be loved and Esau to be hated before they did anything right or wrong. It was decided in the heavens beforehand for the Babylonians, Persians, Greeks, Romans to rule. It was decided in the heavens beforehand. And it's been decided in the heavens beforehand for Esau, Edom, to be completely destroyed, man. That's been decided beforehand. It just has to take place on earth first for it to have been fulfilled, what was written of old time. Verse 13, even so we in like manner, as soon as we were born, began to draw to our end and had no sign of virtue to show, but were consumed in our own wickedness. And that's the thought process that these people are going to have, man. When in their pride, they thought that they was going to be the ones to rule, that they was going to get a portion now. And later, if they thought, I'm going to get my portion now, but if the heavenly realm exists, I believe I'm going to get a portion with that. No, you're not, man. Now, if you're an Israelite, you are, but you're going to get it with shame and everlasting contempt, because you're going to know that when it mattered the most, that you was glorifying in the worst kingdom that ever existed, man, and wanted a portion with that. I'm going to end the lesson there. The Israelites are going to rule on the earth. The Israelites are going to rule on the earth. All praises to Yahweh, Ba'asham Yahweh Shai, Ba'asham Rakar Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, and Shalom to the elected nation of Israel. Shalom.